Engine 1 from Car 1. Car 1's on scene. Assuming command. Give me a CAN report.
What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein, Stickers of the C.A.N Report. Nozzle Tov, everybody. I have a fantastic guest. I am very excited about this one. It's Mark Aloan. He hails from South Carolina, and I'm excited to have him on this show. He has been doing a lot of great things in the fire service, and I got him on here. I'm just so pumped to talk to him about leadership, talk to him about just pretty much anything we can get in trouble with. So I'm proud to have you on here, Chief. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. My pleasure indeed. Before we jump into it, love to get a shout out to my sponsors. I only have two guys. You don't have to worry about a long-winded intro on that. So it's Engine House Designs, a gentleman out of Memphis, Tennessee, Cody Hill, doing a great job with his clothing line. He makes anything you need. So patches, hats, flags, chore coats, you name it. If you need it, he's got it. He does a great job with quality work. He's a hardworking firefighter, and he also has a podcast as well called Engine Podcast. And he actually is working in conjunction with the Kitchen Table Foundation. The Kitchen Table Foundation is honestly working for us. It's working for first responders, military, and vets. It's really a place to help us find solutions to some of the problems we got. It was kind of just developed from the kitchen table, and they just ran with it. So it's for mental health. It's to find services for us, so we have a place to go and help us be more prepared for the world. So Engine House Designs is making their gear, making their hats, their flags, and everything like that. So thank you to Engine House Designs, Igniting the Pride, and the Kitchen Table Foundation. With that being said, I'm jumping right into it. And if you can hear, I've got kids in the background, so they're screaming bloody murder. It's okay. They're 16 years old. They can handle it.
Well, mine just got home too, and I got a dog, so I'm sure we'll be battling each other throughout.
Oh boy. This whole, my little studio here, my upstairs office is not soundproofed. So pretty much anything goes sometimes when they're there. So Chief, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, man. I'm like I said, I'm really excited. You have a great show. I laugh because we did I don't know, we called it a webcast at the time. We did it live, which was crazy. But there was three of us, me, Duffy, Pablo Jenner, and John Haywick. We did one called Unlock Your Culture for a while there, and then we were all so busy it was hard. But I have a new appreciation for the podcast because I talk too much to be a host. So it's really an art form. So I appreciate all you guys that are doing these. I think they're great.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. It is a lot of work, but it's worth it because we get to talk to people like you, and it just helps to get the message out. And I mean, you've been making the rounds, so you've been on so many, and I love talking to people that love this passion. That's why I think you've become real popular, honestly, is because you have an immense passion and love for this, and your message resonates. As we were talking in the lobby real quick, your message really resonates with a lot of people. It really hits me. Like, you were on with the weekly scrap with Corley Moore, and I actually felt so compelled by what you were saying that I had to reach out to you and say thank you for the real talk. It just hit me, and I just felt compelled to shoot you a message. And I think it was before I even had a podcast. I just had to tell you, thank you. But I digress. So for people who don't know who Mark Aloan is, who are you?
Well, I'm sticking with the nobody from nowhere. That's the best description I've been given for a long time. And I say that just because, I mean, I've been afforded wonderful opportunities to teach and speak and be on podcasts. And I just don't see myself in that light. I mean, maybe it's for my own good. I'm a guy that loves the fire service. I've loved the fire service since a young age, and that's all I'm about. So if this makes it better for other people, then I think that's cool. You know, compelled is not the word most people use after hearing me talk, I don't think sometimes, but yeah, you know, the short version, I grew up in upstate New York. I was a volunteer firefighter since I was 17. Took a little run at becoming a paramedic in college and realized I wasn't mature enough for college, and joined the Air Force as a result. So did that for 4 years, lived in Texas for a little bit, lived in Germany, moved down to Georgia, which is where I got out. I worked for the county department down here where I live in Columbia County for 12 years. Went up to West Columbia, South Carolina in 2019 as a captain. Made battalion chief while I was there, and that's where it stands right now. So somewhere along the way, I started doing some writing, thanks to Jared Sergi and Ben Martin, who kind of were my catalyst with that. Very similar to what you said, right? I was reading their stuff, very compelled, and made some great friendships out of it, and found this whole other side of the fire service, which was conferences and outside training and writing and magazine, just things I never even really thought were on the radar. And like you said, I've just been very fortunate to have some great mentors. I'd call a little bit of luck too. I knew the right people at the right time, and apparently I can write okay. So that didn't really hurt the cause. So, but yeah, it's come a long way, man. It really has. And I tell a funny story. I've told it a couple of times, but not often. But I think the first class I ever did was Fire Rescue East, which God, I think at the time was in Daytona, if I remember right. It's been so long ago. But I had Ben and Jared there. They were at this conference too. It's the first time I ever did a conference class, and I actually yawned in the middle of my own presentation because it's like my nervous tick. So I'm in the middle of teaching this class and I'm yawning at my own information. So hopefully I don't yawn too much on the podcast, but it's been a journey to say the least.
It's the power of editing. I'm just gonna get this lighting up a little bit more here. And we're just gonna get this lighting here. There we go. Speaking of the power of editing.
We'll cut that out.
Yeah, right. I was starting to look dark. I was like, holy crap, I can't even see myself. I like to look ominous sometimes, but like that was just a little too much. Right. So with that, we were talking earlier, you're from the Northeast originally, and you fortunately moved down south, which I'm very jealous because I tell my wife all the time, I can't stand the winters here anymore. I need to move down south. And I was listening to your recent podcast on the hazard class, and you were talking about how you lateraled down south and the transition of things. And it made me think about it because I lateraled to my department that I'm on now. Mm-hmm. And you talked about just literally how to go through that. Like some people can do it and some people can't. And, you know, about how it goes. And for people who are ever curious, for you, laterally transferring from the Northeast to the South, right? Because that's what you did, right?
Yeah, more or less. So I had my certs up north when I was a volunteer. My first career gig was actually down here in Georgia. But it was a process to get, you know, my certifications to transfer because for whatever reason in, you know, the 2000s, we still can't agree that a firefighter is a firefighter is a firefighter. You know, and I get it, you know, I understand it because having a little more experience now with hiring process and stuff, you know, and this is not a knock on it, but I mean, if you're in a very small town as a volunteer running 100 calls a year, that's not being in a city that's running 1,000 calls a year. It's a different thing. So while the foundational skills are the same, there's a lot of details there. So, but yeah, I was able to use, luckily New York is just, they go ham with hours. So all my certifications had more than enough hours, but I had to prove that the training I received was equivalent. And even when I moved from Georgia to South Carolina, it's the same thing. You had to get equivalency. South Carolina's traditionally been an IFSAC state. Georgia was a pro board state. And so you have that going on. So that can be a little bit of a headache, I think, is, you know, and there's a lot of guys too. I've learned this through hiring processes where a lot of departments don't give you those national level certifications, that they don't inform you that you can get them. And I'm not saying they're trying to trap you, but they kind of are. And, you know, you may have all this training, but unfortunately, when you try to go to another department, you know, Mark's fire department's training night doesn't count as acceptable equivalency training. So, you know, if it's, I tell everybody now, if just the way the fire service has got, it's not like when you and I came up in it, most people aren't staying anywhere for 20, 25 years anymore. And we could probably get into more of that later. It's a variety of reasons on both sides, but I remember vividly when I first got my EMT down here and had my national registry, I had a lot of older guys saying, oh, you know, don't worry about that BS. Don't keep it. You know, it's all these hours and all this money and you're never going to use that. Well, fast forward 12 years in, I'm going across the state line. Thank God I had that card because that's what my state, South Carolina, uses for your EMT recert. You just show them your national registry card and that's your recert.
Yeah.
So I would encourage anybody that's starting out or anybody that's thinking about possibly moving somewhere to really start focusing on, you know, what certs do you have and do they come with a pro board? And I'm not trying to knock your department, but I wouldn't ask your department. I would call your state fire academy because that's usually where all this stuff is tied back to.
Yeah.
And then, you know, figure out what you have, where it'll go, and you may have to get, you know, you may have to go somewhere like Florida. I know they'll take it now, but you still have to go through some kind of an academy to show that you're competent, which is a good thing. You know, you get this certification 20 years ago, can you still do it? So
yeah.
So it can be a bit of a headache. I would say that that's probably the least amount of headache though with the with the lateral thing. It's just you come up in a department, you learn how to do things a certain way, you have a certain level of knowledge, and you have your experiences that are in your district with your buildings, your people, your equipment, and that's just not apples to apples when you go somewhere else. There's just every department's got its quirks, it's different, and I think people take it too lightly what it's like to go from a department. And I've seen it. I've had people in and out of every department I worked for, but when you get to that lateral level, the challenge really becomes for most people is that when you've been doing this for 5, 10, 15 years somewhere, I'm sorry, you don't come into my fire department with that street cred because we don't know you. You know, you maybe
Exactly.
you went through a process, I hope, but that mentality that you're gonna, I don't know, do the things that maybe a 10 or 15-year guy in your department does in our department, I wouldn't at first, I wouldn't be like that. I mean, I like to think when I went up there, I needed to learn a department. I needed to learn the people. Yeah, I needed to learn how we operated. To I watch people that sit around. I watch people that think they know this or know that, and your knowledge is valuable. Don't get me wrong. That's why somebody is hiring you from the outside. You're filling a gap that they don't have, and is few or is short of the tenure that we have anymore, those gaps are growing. And
Yeah.
so your options are either to promote people before they're probably really ready, which are we ever really ready? I don't know. But do you want to take a chance that somebody with 2 or 3 years that's only been to a handful of fires is going to be a driver or an officer? Or do you want to go get somebody that's got 10, 15 years experience doing it and mold them to fit your district? And that's, I tell you, in my fire department, we're small, we don't have a great success rate with lateral hires over the long
Hmm.
run. We get some value out of them. They fill a gap for sure, but as far as them staying for a long time, it's I think it's less than 30% if I remember last time.
Why is that?
I wish I had an answer. I really don't know. I think the fire service overall is becoming more transient, and it's just because everybody's the same now. And it's especially to me as suburbia starts to grow and you're seeing these career departments, but I can tell you in South Carolina, we have a state retirement system, which is outstanding for the members, but it allows you to pick up and go. You're not tied to that city. You're not tied to that jurisdiction as far as your pension goes. So when your department has the same pension system I have, what am I losing? Right. Maybe I
Yeah.
got to start in the back seat for a few years, but if I'm qualified, I'll move up the ranks. Um, but something I've been kind of hung up on lately is I think we've overinvested in recruiting and we haven't invested enough in retention, and we just see constantly the salary compression. We see people moving departments for 10 cents an hour, 50 cents an hour. Something in the big picture is not going to pan out. But if you're unhappy, you don't like the culture, you don't like the leadership that's in play, you don't like the rules, whatever, then 50 cents an hour, you know, plus or minus is not going to hold you somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think we do an awful job in the fire service now of trying to retain the people that we have. I think we're so used to this historical loyalty, and our members are just supposed to come to our departments and do 20, 25 years. That's a long career these days.
Do you
And
think that the mentality though too is like, if you want to leave, then leave? Like when I left my department, I was already quote unquote disgruntled as I was labeled, but there was no fight for me to stay. And I think for a lot of people when they leave, and I don't expect departments to beg their guys to stay. I mean, if the person wants to go, they've made their decision. They're
Mhm.
adults, they can go. But do you ever think that maybe it could be, like you said, retention? Like maybe they're not getting that feedback of their worth. That, hey, no, please, it sounds pathetic saying it, but like not, no, please stay, but like, hey, we really appreciate you being here. Like we would like
Yeah.
for you to stay. We would like for you to reconsider. What can we do to help? Because there's corporations that are out there, like when they have a top performer and it's a good corporation or a good company, they're usually like, what is it that we could do to make you stay? And I understand it's kind of difficult to do in the fire service, but at least like a good sit down. Because I don't, sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, right? Sometimes the chiefs will be like, why are you leaving? Because that's a
Yeah.
good chief to ask that question, right? What is it? Why are you leaving? I need to know. Like you said, we don't do enough with retention, because usually when they put in their paper, say, hey, I'm leaving. Okay, well, it was a pleasure working with you. Good luck in the next one, right? But do we ever ask the question? Do we ever say, like, what is it? Is it the pay? Is it you're not liking the call volume or less than call volume? Are you not liking that you're on the ambulance? Like, because some places do the exit interviews, but those we all know those go nowhere, right? They're filed and they're stuffed into a bin somewhere, and nobody pulls those out. The chief might get them, but he's too busy to look at them. Do you think that they're not doing enough of that?
So I do, but to me, there's a lot to unpack there. So first and foremost, I would say that I think when people are to the point, like once you start looking, you've checked out as far as I'm concerned, because I don't care. I've had this argument with people, and I will die on this hill. Happy employees do not look for other employment, with the exception of their spouse is moving, they're moving home to take care of their parents, they're moving to be closer to a child, like, except for family life circumstances, happy employees are not looking at the department down the road. Employees are not looking at the department, 2 districts down, whatever it might be. So that ship has already sailed to me by the time we get to that point. Like, you're not bringing that member back in, because there is probably some bad blood there. There are some things that have went wrong, and those opportunities need to be addressed prior. I'll put a caveat on that though and say that everybody thinks they're a top performer. So sometimes departments let you go because they don't want to retain you, and you think that you're high speed, and in reality you're not high speed, and nobody wanted to tell you that. And that's a
harsh reality, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I worry about that when I write, because I write things, I'm like, man, this is going to resonate with all the right people, but it also resonates with all the wrong people sometimes, because they're interpreting it as that they're, correct. And I mean, who's correct, right? That's a moving target. So I would say that first, that one, not everybody, we don't want to retain everybody that leaves. Sometimes we're like, oh, it's a shame, but good luck.
Yeah.
Dodged a bullet there. And then other people, man, the fire service is not as local as it used to be. There's too much access to platforms like this, to outside training, to, the surge of fire. Like, when I started out, the only 2 fire conferences I ever heard of were Firehouse and FDIC. That was it. And aside from whatever we did locally, we didn't bring in outside people. I mean, the closest thing I remember volunteering to outside training was we used to do like an extrication competition for our county. And that was it. And we didn't train with the other departments, right? We competed against them.
Yeah.
But we just didn't have the access to information. And, I started in 2001. The internet was still pretty new at that time. Social media was still, AOL for a bunch of people. Just, what do you say?
That's American Online, but everybody, that's American Online. Everybody, yeah. It's a dial up.
Yeah, your computer used to make some high screech noise, and you got to talk to people. But oh man, we just lost half the audience. But no, I don't think it's as local anymore. So it's very tempting to be drawn to the department down the road. And I think, unfortunately though, as well, you're tempted by the part that they put out there, and nobody's putting their dirty laundry. Well, most places are not putting their dirty laundry out on the internet. And it's easy to paint your department in a picture that you want to, and then you bring people in and it's not what that picture was. So that's another part of it. So if I'm not happy in my own department for whatever reason, and then I see, oh, well, District 5 down the road, I go down there and it looks great. And then I get there and I don't fit in there either. And then I'm like, oh, well, I'll go to this department. So at some point, maybe it's me. At some point, maybe our expectations are flawed because of the explosion we've had of everybody who knows everything on the internet. And this is why I'm very self-conscious about doing things like this sometimes, or writing things, because I am by no means an expert in fire department culture and fire department leadership. I just have experiences, and I'm, fortunately, from what I understand from other people, I'm fairly talented at understanding these things. And so I go down these roads. But back to the original point though, I think that, the retention starts on day one to me. That's where we blow it. We put these people on probation. It's all hands on deck. We're all bought into you. And the minute you clear probation, we throw you in the corner a lot of the time until a promotional opportunity is coming. And all of a sudden we're trying to figure out why you're not prepared. And people need more encouragement along the way. They need opportunities. Sometimes they need opportunities they don't know that they need. They need to be sent to a class for exposure. That's one great thing I can say about my fire department is we have a lot of young guys, and we send them all over the place. Hey, you're going to this conference. Hey, you're going to this class. Hey, you want to get this cert? And we send them. And, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because we're making them very, very marketable to go somewhere else if they wanted to.
Right.
But you can't think like that. You have to think about, we're making very marketable for our citizens. We're making you a higher performer for our citizens, for the other guys here. And my experience with firemen is real firemen want to be around high-speed guys. They don't want to be around guys that aren't into the job. So that's where the retention starts to me. The other side of it, and again, I don't make the budget. I'm not talking to city council about it, but the salary compression is our worst enemy. We keep upping the salary for bringing people in the door, and we're not moving it up, up the ranks. And eventually that comes to a point where I get it, it's a paycheck, but it's not right to have somebody that has been loyal to your organization, that has stayed there, that is performing well, that is doing the work, to have a very small gap in pay between somebody that's not proven, and maybe not even off probation in some cases. What's your
100%.
reward for staying?
I hear that a lot, and it's in my region, and it's everybody's region. I definitely hear that, and that's a great point. Is that to try to attract the newer and the younger, especially again, if you're a paramedic, I mean, you're gonna write your own check, right? And you could be like, yeah, I'll work for your department, but I want this much money, and they'll work it. And then of course, those 5 to 10 year medics that are currently on the department, like, what the hell, man? I've been busting my ass for years, and he comes in over my salary, like they're like, peace out. I'm going somewhere else that actually respects my pay.
Yep.
And like you brought up,
you can negotiate. Like
you
come from the
negotiate.
outside, you get to negotiate. And I don't, like I said, I'm sure there's an answer. I don't have it offhand, but those are the little things to me that get to, like where you said, where you are becoming disgruntled. And maybe you're not disgruntled at the whole fire department. Maybe you're not even disgruntled at the people you work with. Maybe you're just pissed off that you feel like you've been loyal to an organization, and all they've done is give you your yearly raise or whatever. But everybody that comes in behind you is starting out 5, 10, 15% higher than you as the years go on. And it's not keeping pace. And then when you flip to the volunteer side of things, imagine being the guy that shows up every Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday for training and gives it their all, and you're getting the same benefits as the guy that conveniently shows up 20 minutes after the alarm to sign the sheet and heads to the house. That's even worse to me, like, because you're volunteering.
When I was a call guy, they used to piss me off when, I got down there, I'm ready to rock, and the call is done, and some guy just waddles in and signs the book, and then he gets paid for doing nothing. They used to drive me bonkers. And actually, there's a podcast out there, the Volley podcast, with Kevin Hughes and some other, and they talked about that, about like cheating the system. They're saying how it's illegal that you're actually falsifying documents of signing a law that you didn't do anything with. But like for my previous department, you had a window. So if that call was still in play, if you will, even though it winded down, if they didn't say command terminated, you could slide in and sign that law, and you got paid for that hour. So people would do that. They literally would like, oh, okay, good. And then they sign it and they go, I'm out.
But I mean, is that any more fraudulent than the career guys that show up, don't even put their gear on the rig and sit in a recliner till the bell goes off, and then kind of figure it out, don't do anything? I mean, people are going to steal from the system. I'll tell you this. When I was a volunteer, and even more so when I was a younger fireman, I didn't really notice stuff like that. Sometimes I think we kind of taint our young guys too, because we draw it. And again, they have access to more information than we ever had, but I didn't care who came afterwards. My goal as a volunteer firefighter was to make the first truck out. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to get to the firehouse soon enough where I would be on the first due rig. I didn't care what it was, where we were going, what truck we were taking. Like, that was it. I didn't care who came after. I was like, look at these idiots. They missed the call. And they're like, look at that idiot. He ran the call, and it's the same thing. But
yeah,
it's the same thing as your fire department, depending, everybody's got bad assignments and slow stations, and some people thrive for that. And other people, they want to go to the busy house. They want to run the calls. And, that's also part of retention, is put people in the right places. I see so many places where it's like, we try to prove a point. We try to put the high performer, the go-getter at a slow house to prove a point, to clip their wings. We try to motivate unmotivated people by putting that dream assignments, running these calls they have no business or running, they don't want to run. And to me, everybody has to work somewhere. So I'm going to play the odds. I'm going to stack my busy houses. My go-getters are going there. And then I'm going to backfill from there. And is that to say that, Mrs. Smith on this end of the district deserves a different service than this one? No, but you have to play the numbers at some point, right? So, but I think chemistry wise too, I think you get better performance when you put like-minded people together. Yeah. And we've all been a victim in our career of having a great crew that got broke up to say, oh, well, the three of you are really motivated, so we're going to send you to these 3 different stations so you can spread your motivation to the unmotivated. It's not a real thing.
It's
You know,
not.
you don't get chemistry that way. You get chemistry is like any great recipe. It's not putting to people who are all the same together. It's putting people who have different talents, different abilities, but have a similar mindset together. That's where that chemistry comes from. So, you know, all those things added up together hits the retention piece for me. But I don't feel like we sit down and talk about stuff like this as a fire service. We say, how do we attract new talent? What do we pay people to get them in the door? And then we kind of say, oh, how do we keep them? Well, you know, if we can't keep them, we'll just pay this much more. We'll just do this, or we'll give this benefit. You know, we'll hand out leather helmets at the volunteer fire department. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want people coming to my fire department that are coming for some gimmick. I want people coming to my fire department because of what my fire department is, because what we offer, because of the
Yeah.
people that are there.
Well, again, I think like for that, again, it goes back to when they're trying to bang their heads against the wall, trying to get more people through the door, trying to keep the ones they have. I still don't think they're asking the questions.
Yeah.
I really, they're looking for the answers, but they're not asking questions.
Nope.
And I think that's what it is. They're constantly looking for the new way to recruit, but they're not asking the questions, how do we recruit and how do we keep the ones that we have? And I think then we need to ask more questions and look for answers. And I don't.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think part of this, I touched on this on another podcast I just did too, but that where the disconnect starts to form is that as you move up the ladder, it just becomes very easy to assume that the way that you did things, the way the fire service was to get you to where you are is the way. And unfortunately, every year we get in seniority is a year we're further away from the next guy coming in the door. My needs are not the same as a 18-year-old kid that's coming on the job today. They have different needs, they have a different life. I'm telling you right now, I watched my guys the other day. This is a new thing. They are all about taking the iPad out on med calls and starting a PCR in the street, which is extremely efficient. I can't do that. I have to sit at a desktop computer to do anything
I'm the
because I'm
same
a
way.
dinosaur. I can't do it.
Where you're sitting in the ambulance and someone's like, "Oh, do you want to drive or do you want to do your report?" I'm like, "I'm going to do my report back at the station. I can't do this while you're driving. I'm going to get sick."
I need a keyboard. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Like I could do it on a laptop, I guess, but I'm just more comfortable coming back to the station, calm environment. And I mean, I worked in ambulance for a long time. Don't get me wrong. I could type a PCR in the back of the truck with the best of them, but just the tablet thing is not a thing for me. But they love it, right? They're really efficient at it. That's what they know. That's what they've come up with. So, what do I say? Is a leader in my organization? Oh, you guys are stupid. You shouldn't do that. You know, you're going to make mistakes. You should do it at the station. No, dude. Look, are you doing what you're supposed to do? Fine. But it goes to the questions too. If the people asking the questions are asking the wrong questions, it just makes the problem even worse. And
Yeah.
I'm just in the mindset, man. If you just, for as much time and effort as we put into all these processes and finding people and recruiting people, stop finding good people and not letting them be good. Just let them run. I mean, most people are inherently motivated once they get here. I mean, even if they weren't when they came, but it's when we put all these rules and we ask all these weird questions and we try to pull the leash on them for things that quite honestly just don't freaking matter. That's where you start that decline where people all of a sudden, that's where that disgruntled sits in. Oh man, you know, I can't do anything right around here. Or, you know, I'll give you an engine analogy because I love the engine stuff. If you want to pull the hose on your left shoulder as a nozzleman instead of the right, like I prefer and have done my entire career, it is now my job as your company officer to learn how to back you up with a left-sided pull. It's not my job to teach you a right-sided pull. I can show you that. I can try to tell you why I think it's better. But if that's what you're comfortable with, it's incumbent on me to adjust. And we keep forcing everybody to adjust to us to a fault. Now, there's things that you can't be flexible on, but for the most part, it's little minor details that we're turning into mountains a lot of the time, and it just turns people off.
No, I love that. And honestly, that's perfect too. Like it is that micromanaging aspect that people don't like. And like Scott Thompson says, just let firefighters be firefighters.
Yes.
And, let them do their jobs. What we hired them to do, like you said before, especially for Lateral, they hired you for that experience and that knowledge that you've already gained. They're going to teach you their way, but we also want you to be able to be competent without me having to tell you how to do every little thing. And it was a learning curve for me when I went to my department that I'm on now, because it came from a very micromanaged department. So I was like an abused little child, and I would just stand there and just wait for someone to ask me something, because I wouldn't speak up. And finally, my battalion chief was like, "Dude, I know you know this shit. You teach it. Tell us. Like, we hired you for this." And I just felt so uncomfortable at first because I didn't want to speak out of turn.
Yeah.
Because I was so used to not being able to speak out up like that, and it took a while. So for I speak freely about that, is that the lateral part of it for people who came from a department where you were very beaten down or micromanaged, and then you go to a department that's actually like yours, and like, hey, we want you to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to pull that out of somebody, because then you're like, they got that potential. And have you ever come across that, of like somebody who you hire them because they've got the potential, and then they can do this job well, but they stand there and they wait to be led instead of doing it because that's what you hired them to do?
Yeah, I think that all goes back to the culture, the culture of the department, because I would say too, the lateral thing is still very counterculture in the fire. The fire service is steeped in working your way up from the bottom and paying your time and doing the right things and following the right career path. And then here comes Mark, inserted 10 years in 3 levels above what he should be, for his time here. And that's why I say it's so difficult to navigate, because you just don't have that street credit with your people. And you have to have an equal amount of humility and expertise at the same time, which is just a very odd scale to try to run. But I know when I was new, I didn't know the area, right? I didn't know the people. So I really had to lean on my people hard, but I had to do it in a way to where I was still, the company officer. I was still the boss, even though I'm asking my driver, like, hey man, I don't know what to do here. But it had to be in a way where I was genuinely asking, because I wanted to improve things and I wanted to do things right. But also when a decision was made, I had to make the decision. And sometimes that bit me in the ass and sometimes it didn't. It's just like any other job you learn. And I kind of laugh at it, because in every other industry, people move jobs frequently. Like electricians move to other electric companies, and there's not this big, courting period where we decide if you fit into our electrical journey or not. We just say, hey, you're an electrician, cool, go wire up this house, But when we in the fire service, we're like, oh well, we know you've survived for 15 years, but have you survived here? It's just this weird thing. So
was that difficult
part of it
for you for coming in? Like, you haven't, like, what was the buy-in process from that? Like, did they respect you, or did you, it wasn't right? Because respect isn't just, all right.
Yeah, no, I don't know. You'd have to ask them, I guess. Right.
That's a hard thing. I mean, just lateraling as a firefighter, but if you're coming in now as an officer, and they don't know you, because that happened with me. That this guy came in as an officer of my previous department, and I was told, you have to respect him. I'm like, but why?
Yeah,
he doesn't, right? He doesn't know anything, and he didn't. And it wasn't like to shit on him, but he didn't. He didn't know my area. He didn't know my trucks. He didn't know how to pump. He didn't know any of this. And I literally had to be the navigator. I had to be the tour guide of the show and show him everything. And but show me as an officer, I also need to see what you're capable of, because if you want me to respect you as an officer, I got to trust you. So did you have any of that?
I had a pretty easy path. At least that's my version of it. I was put with some really good people. Some of those people are now, as a chief. My driver is one of my captains now. My probationary firefighter is driving the truck now. He's a paramedic now. So I had good people, so it's probably not a fair, comparison. But I'll say this, is that it doesn't matter if you're a lateral or not. Your mentality is your mentality, and people read that. They read your energy. You are who you are. You're not going to get recreated at this fire department unless you're a extreme chameleon and somehow you're able to morph into super firefighter, even though you weren't where you came from. So I just tried to keep my mentality. The big thing for me, one was just being open about, like, hey, these are the things I don't know. I'm not coming here to try to change the world. I'm trying to learn how we operate, and we'll go from there. And I asked a lot of questions, and I tried to keep things fairly status quo in the beginning, because to me, there's nothing more disrespectful and patronizing than for somebody to come into your company and just start telling you why everything you do is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that the hard way. That's not like some genius thing that spoke to me tonight. I learned that by screwing it up. So when I went as a lateral, I didn't want to come in too hard. I mean, I was firm about things. There's certain things. Everybody has a non-negotiable. And for better or worse, I came in as a company officer. So you don't have to respect me, but you're going to listen to me. And hopefully I'll earn that respect through my actions on these calls, my actions in training, and how I treat you around the firehouse. But other than that, it was a lot of asking questions And I was very upfront with like, hey, I do speaking, I teach all over the place. I'm not better than anybody else. Have a sticker so this doesn't become an issue later. And I just owned all of it. I really tried hard to just own who I was up front. And if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. But guess what? You weren't gonna like me in the long run anyway, because that's what I'm about. So I like to think it was fairly smooth. I'm sure there's people in my fire department or that were previous at my fire department that could give a crap about me, and that's fine. You know, the feeling's mutual with some of them, and there's people at every fire department, whether you lateral or not, that you just don't align with. I mean, it's just like the military for me. We show up to basic training, put 50 people in a dorm from around the country, all walks of life. Chances are we're not going to get along at some point. But that's called being an adult, being a professional, and a lot of that to me is what's really missing from the fire service now. Is just it's like a bunch of spoiled toddlers that don't get their way, and you forget it's a job, whether your career and you get an actual paycheck or you're volunteer and you elected to do the job for little to no compensation. It's a job. There's things you don't want to do. You have to get along with people. You can't just moan and cry about everything. And we're just really, really good at that as a profession. That's our strong suit, unfortunately. And I just feel like it's getting more and more out of hand because people now have, like I said, it's less local. If you get on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, if you search long enough, you'll find somebody to validate your opinion, no matter how crazy it is.
Man, I love that. I didn't want to interrupt you because that was like right on, man. Like that was beautiful. which brings me to that's why I love you, man. That's why I had to have you on, and I love that you're just blunt about this shit, because it's shit we need to hear and understand. And that brings me actually to so you run a Facebook page as well, the Fire Inside.
Mhm.
And you have a lot of great content in there, and you have a lot of great stuff that you talked about just now. And one of them I was just looking at is be a force, not a figure. And the stuff that you write, it's really a spot on. And honestly, it's what we all need to hear. And like you said before, sometimes you're a little weary of some of the things you write because you don't want to, like, you're obviously not pointing anybody out, you're not pointing fingers, but the people still happen to get insulted by things. And usually we say if you feel insulted or if you're triggered by this, well, then obviously there's something that you might need to look at deep down in yourself, because if that's making you feel bad, it's because maybe you've done it.
Yeah.
Though there's this quote here that this little section you wrote with "be a force, not a figure." Where did that come from? I mean, I do have to name names or anything like that. I don't know what, but it was such a prominent post that you made. And if anybody's curious, go to the Fire Inside Facebook page. He has Mark has a lot of great content on there, and literally just writing obviously his inner thoughts, and it's just on the screen. And I feel like you write like I do. Like I just all of a sudden something will, I'll see something, I'll hear something, and I just immediately get inspired, whether it's negative or positive, and I got to write it. And you do a lot of that. So I'm sorry I kind of went off on a tangent, but be a force, not a figure. Where'd that come from?
So I'll start by saying this. Like I really struggle with imposter syndrome, especially with my writing, because I've just never worked anywhere really, really busy with like a huge fire duty. I mean, my department now, we have a pretty decent fire duty, but I don't work for New York City. I don't work for Chicago or LA. And so when I first started doing this, I had a really hard time. Like, who's going to listen to me? Again, I'm just a nobody from nowhere. But what I learned through my journeys and my writing and meeting all these people and all these opportunities is that that's most of the fire service. Most of the fire service does not work in a large metro. And to be honest, the guys that work in a large metro, they have all these same problems, but they're so big, they're not looking outside to fix their problems. They're all internal. So, I don't want to throw that as a blanket statement. Somebody from New York City just cussed me like, right? But no, so I preface it with that is that a lot of the stuff is the majority of my writing is stuff I'm battling with inside. And it's funny because you write it and you put it out there, and surely somebody I've worked with somewhere, oh, he's talking about me. Man, you're not that important to me if we didn't get along, right? Like, I'm not thinking about you to write something about you. Have I done it in the past? Yeah, there's times, like you said, something comes up. Um, the particular post, though, be a force, not a figure. I went through, I don't know, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. I saw the bigger fire service as far as the circuit and the writing. And don't get me wrong, there's a ton of incredible people, but it's very easy to let a podcast invite, an article, a conference acceptance make you think that you're a brand now or that you're bigger than the fire service. And I'm not saying that there's anybody in particular that is written about. That was me reminding myself that you're not that person. Don't stop worrying about who invited you to their show or who shared your post or what conference wanted you and which one didn't. Like, your job is to move people. If you want to truly be influential, man, I guarantee. I mean, I had a conversation with somebody today talking literally about this, about Mark, you've done all these things, you've been inspirational, and that's great. And I don't take that lightly. But also, if I'm not doing that in my own organization to some point, then it's all for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm, again, you know how the fire service is. My guys get to hear this for free, 48 hours at a shot, right? At some point, they're going to get sick of listening to me. And everything I say is not earth shattering. And there are times when I am wrong, and I have good days and bad days just like anybody else. But by and large, it is far more important to me to make positive impact in my own organization with the people I run calls with, for our citizens who pay us for service, than it is that somebody in California read my blog and had an epiphany. I think that's great too. So please don't take it wrong. But the bigger picture is, you're just supposed to be influential if you really care. That's what passion is all about. That's what really being in the fire service is all about. In the minute that it becomes about you and your name being attached to an idea or your brand being attached to it, I'm sorry, but I think you're slowly selling out, and it's going to put you down a weird path where you need it, right? Don't get me wrong. I love this. It strokes the ego in a positive way, right? But it motivates me. I love doing stuff like this. But at the same time, we were laughing in the lobby, right? Like, this is like, I've done 3 podcasts in January. I haven't done a podcast in like 12 months. I was just very fortunate they all came at once. I wish they would spread out a little. But if nobody called me after this podcast, I've had my share. I've had my run. I've had a cool opportunities, and they'll be out there for a long time. But I'll just go back to the firehouse and keep trying to move the needle as little bit as it may be. Sometimes I'll just keep trying to do that.
I love it. You really nailed it with that, because I remind myself of that same thing, because it's easy to become addicted to this.
Yes.
We get addicted to fire service. I think we all have addictive personalities of it being in this field, right? Like,
Yes.
it's easy. It's easy to get addicted to caffeine and nicotine and drinking and fire calls. Once you get a good structure fire, I want more of that. Give me more, and you want that adrenaline rush. It's the same thing with podcasts and being invited to a training or invited to be a presenter. You want more of it, but then like you said, like, you start to, like, if you don't get invited to something, like, I've honestly had to remind myself of those things. Like, geez, why did I get invited to that? How come I didn't get invited to this? How come they didn't? And I honestly would have to remind myself, like, dude, that's not what you're about. You're trying to be a positive influence. Be that. If somebody's getting good information from you, be that. You don't have to be in everyone's face all the time. You don't have to be in a fire conference or invited to whatever to be an instructor. Give it back to your neck of the woods. Give it back to your guys. Give it back to people who are benefiting from it. And it's a great reminder. And that's why that article stuck out for me, is because it is, we all need to be reminded that whether we're doing podcasts or we're presenters, same thing as officers, I think anybody, like, think about the what you signed up for to do this job, to give back, whether we're giving back to our community or we're giving back to the guys and girls that we're working with. If you've got something positive, give it to them. Don't worry about the public, and don't worry about the paycheck of going to teach somewhere else. Like, that's why we started learning and bettering ourselves, is because we want to give back to others. So it's a great reminder.
I mean, if we were drug dogs, we'd be finding dopamine, right? Like, that's what firefighters are good at. We're dopamine hunters.
It really is. Like,
the funny thing too is that, and if you've never done it, and I didn't understand it until I've done it as well, but there's a cost with all of this. So I'm going to dispel some rumors right now. Like, the average person that's teaching on the circuit or writing or teaching in a training group is probably losing money on their journeys because you don't understand the cost of travel. You don't understand the cost of time. You don't understand how much time it takes to sit down and build a presentation deck or do the logistics for hands-on training or buy that equipment. Everybody thinks that these people are out here taking advantage of the fire service, and it's really not the case. Most of the guys I know, I'm not saying there's not people out there that do. Frankly, I don't know what people charge. Frankly, I don't care. I know what I charge, It's not much. My wife knows what I charge. She'll be here to tell you that we've adopted how many firefighters across the country through training. Um, but it's not what people think, especially the people that are in it for the right reason. And to sit there and say that if you think that my message is good enough to bring your department, that I'm not deserving of some compensation for it, that's crazy. Well, I just don't get that hang up. Now I agree you could probably overcharge. This is the worst topic for me, is talking about compensation for teaching stuff, because I'm so uncomfortable with it, because I don't know what's fair and what's not. How do you put a price on what, somebody being so influential in changing your career? I use Aaron Fields as an example, right? Invaluable to my career. Class changed my career. What price do you put on that if this is what you're into?
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it for sure. But then there's also another price of, I feel bad for some of these super high profile guys, because I'm I'm kind of popular enough where when my name comes up, somebody knows it, but they couldn't pick me out of a lineup, which is right where I love to live. Because, you go to the bar, you go to a restaurant, or you go to whatever the social is after some of these conferences, and some of these poor guys are just trying to hang with their friends or hang with their families. And I get it. But you got these young firefighters just so ate up. Oh my gosh, that's so and so, and that's so and so. They want to talk to you, want to be around you. It's such a compliment. But at the same time, I just want to have dinner with my family, and it's just weird to me that there's this celebrity status that kind of exists in this side of the fire service. It's just kind of bizarre.
It is kind of bizarre. And I feel like sometimes I have to rewrite my request when I'm reaching out to guests, because I'll put, I'm a huge fan. And I feel weird saying that, because I'm like, how do I rephrase that without sounding like I'm talking to my favorite rock star, right? Like, I'm a huge fan, but like, no, I'm like, well, you're very influential to me, and I really want to have you on here. Does that sound better? Like, it sounds weird, right? Saying I'm a huge fan of somebody. And exactly what you're talking about. I've seen it like at FDIC last year. I saw it happen firsthand, and to a person, and he was just like so exhausted, because all he wanted to do was literally just sit and enjoy a moment and have a drink, and just everyone just kept bothering, and he's just like, one person was like kind of drunk and wasn't getting the hint, and he was this close, but he refrained, and I gave him all the credit in the world, because I could see that it was getting difficult. But you're right, like, there's times like you did sign up for this, you creating that good culture that people want to come up to you and say thank you, but also at the same time you're like, can I just have a moment? I just literally just want to have a bite of food, or I just want to be here with my family.
And just make your own circle, right? It's funny. Most of the people I run with are people I met through training, not because they're an instructor. There are other people in that group. And because we're all there for the same reason, we're all motivated by the same message. That's how we started doing our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
So people just try to inject themselves with the in crowd, and it's this group today, it's that guy tomorrow. And then guess what? All of a sudden that person doesn't do anything for a year or two, and the crowd shrinks around them. I mean, it's natural. Again, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I'm just saying, I don't think people understand that in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of another post too, that kind of goes to the topic that I did a long time ago. And it was something to the effect of, catch your people, doing good things. And again, where that stemmed from is I was going through my phone one day and I realized that I have pictures of everybody around me training, on calls, cutting up in the firehouse. There's very few pictures of Mark out there doing those things. And I didn't write it to be a whiner. That's not what I'm after. It was more of a reminder to me to like, hey, who cares if anybody's catching you doing good things, or who cares if anybody's taking your picture? Keep taking the pictures for other people. A lot of what we do in the fire service is doing things for other people that aren't done for you. That's how you pay it forward. That's how you make it better. But we get so hung up on the I got left out, boohoo this, boohoo that. And sometimes you just need that reality check that you're doing the right thing for the right reason, or it's the wrong reason, right? That's the transition.
No, that's deep reflection for sure. And you do have to, like, I understand, like, everyone gets discouraged, especially when you have big aspirations and big goals and big dreams, and you want to be on the big stage, or you want to be able to teach at these conferences, and you believe you've earned it. And I'm sure that person has, but it's a punch in the gut when you don't accept get accepted to those things. And you're like,
Mhm.
why am I not good enough? Why is Mark good enough? What has he got that I don't got? So you people like start getting down. I was the same way. I'm like, as I started progressing, I'm like, man, why am I not getting to do these things? But you know what? It's okay. Like everything does not evolve around Mike Goldstein. So I just keep working and moving hard. And the big picture is I still get to do a great job. And, eventually, I just got to keep growing and refine your skills and you refine your purpose. And that's why I love what you're writing there. And before I break off into another topic, but there was another one that I really liked because it had a lot to do with social media, and it was the move in silence. And I think I just shared that honestly because I was reading it earlier. And it reminds me a lot of that social media aspect of thing. Like we live in a world where we just hit that like button and,
Yep.
we're begging for like the dopamine drop, right? Like we're waiting for that because it makes us feel good. And then that's all we strive for is the likes and the algorithms and all that crap. But like we're losing focus on what we're supposed to be doing. And that's to be firefighters or EMS or whatever else you're choosing to be. But we do hyper focus on getting that share and getting that like. And is that why you wrote that?
Yeah, and I mean, let's be honest. Everybody wants to be liked.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not beat around the bush. All these guys talk a big game. I don't give a shit if anybody likes me. Everybody wants to be liked.
Yeah.
You come to grips with not being liked at some point for whatever reason. But
It's harsh. It's harsh when people, because I don't like being disliked.
Nobody does. But we're quick to dislike others. So
we are. We're very quick at that.
But I sum it up like this: if I go to a training event or a conference, or I run into you somewhere, there's a bunch of firefighters. I'm not asking you what class did you teach. I'm not asking you, oh, what platform are you on? I'm asking you, hey, I'm Mark. I work here. Where do you work? What kind of fire duty do you have? How many stations do you have? I'm curious about your job because at the end of the day, it's all about the job. It's not about the other part of it. So there are people all over this country that have no idea who I am. Thank God. Right? It's not for everybody, but do you think that I am the first person in the fire service to have the light bulb that leads to some of the stuff I write about or the stuff I teach? Absolutely not. Some people are not comfortable in that spotlight. I'll be honest with you. I'm not that comfortable in the spotlight, which seems crazy, right? I don't mind doing these. I can get up in front of a room with a purpose. If I'm there to teach, I don't mind it. It takes me a little bit to warm up. But if we go out to the bar or restaurant afterwards, I'm the dude that's in the corner. Like, if you introduce me, I'll talk to them, but otherwise they're a stranger. And I'm not talking to them because my mom raised me better than that, right? But I mean, it's just, there's people that don't have social media. There's people that don't go to conferences, and they're still moving the needle within their own organizations, with their own regions, their own states, whatever it may be. You don't have to have a presence. And I think we think now, and trust me, it's easier. I mean, if I got off social media tomorrow, I wouldn't know about half the conference. That's where society gets its news now. You're kind of behind the eight ball if you want to get out there and do things. But I know a lot of extremely influential people in my career, people that have mentored me, that mentor me to this day, that don't run a Facebook page. They don't teach at conferences. That makes them no better or no worse than anybody else.
Right.
It's just not their thing. So who gives a shit?
Mhm.
Honestly, like, that's what it comes down to. And that's why I say it all goes back to, what are you doing within your sphere of influence to make things better? If that leads you to this or a conference, then more power to you. But that's not everybody's path. It's like the hands-on stuff. Most of the people that really make the hands-on stuff gold are not the main figure. It's the guys behind the scenes that are pulling you off to the side with the technique, that are doing the build outs 2 days before, staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning, that you never see. You never know anything about it. They're out there. I didn't realize that till I started doing hands-on stuff. It's a thing. So again, I'm a big proponent of, I don't care if you remember my name, but if the message speaks to you and you think it makes you better, just remember the message. And that's it. That's all I care about. It really is. And people are, oh, you're so full of crap. I'm not. I promise you. My last name is crazy anyway. Half the people can't pronounce it. So it doesn't matter. You're not, it's going to be the wrong person anyway.
That's awesome. And you're so right, though. And there's a gentleman on my fire department, and we went to FDIC last year, and he's so far removed from social media. And I loved it. It actually was great, because as I got there with my other coworker, and we're pointing out all the people, like, oh my God, there's Kyle Romigas. Oh my God, there's Chief Rhodes. Oh my God, there's this person. Hey, there's Duffy. Like, and we're all fanboying out. And this other guy, he doesn't give a shit about any of that. He was hyper focused. Like, I want to take electric vehicles. I want to learn more about that. And as we're fanboying out, he's like, who is that? And who is that? I don't give a shit about that guy. I don't give a shit about that guy. Do they teach EV? No. Well, I don't fucking care. And I love that, because at first I was like, how do you not know who this person is? He's like, because I'm not on social media, and he didn't know because he doesn't do social media, doesn't follow all those groups, but he's a damn good firefighter. And his topic, his source of what he wants to get back to my department was being better at EVs. He wants to learn more about them so he can bring it back and teach our department. That was his main goal. And I absolutely love that, because he was focused on. He didn't get distracted about all the flair and on all the other people that we geek out on. It was literally that his sole purpose was to take more classes on that specific standard. And I love the fact that was what and then after he started, like the third day in, he's like, oh, okay, I get it. I see why you guys are excited about this and excited about that. But it was really cool. Like, honestly, we saw Corley, like, oh my God, it's Corley. And he's like, who is that? Right. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's like, oh, all right. But it was just really cool to have that different side of it, because we all forget like the whole point of why we're doing this. And it's, again, for people like you and people like the other people I just named, they're the same way. You're the same way. Like, I'm going to go because I want to learn. I want to teach. So either I'm teaching or I'm there to be taught.
Yes.
Because we're all going to still be learning. We're all students until, like we always say, if you don't think you can learn anything anymore, then it's time for you to go. And I think we all can agree.
I'm going to classes when I go to these things. Now, some of this stuff I will say, like, I don't go to some classes as much as I used to, because it is tiring. It does get exhausting. And a lot of the time, it's the 1 or 2 times a year I get to see some of my closest friends that don't live near me.
Yeah.
But I try to get into something every day, whether it's to support somebody else that's teaching, or it's to learn something. I mean, I want to hang out with your guy you just talked about, because EVs are such a huge blind spot for most of us. Like, I want his knowledge. Like, I don't care if he knows who I am or not. Like, teach me, right? I want all this knowledge you gained while I was over here catching up with this guy or that guy. But yeah, I think it's such an important message too for the younger guys that are starting out, because there is a lot of younger guys that are getting in, especially the podcasting has become a big thing. And I think it's really cool, because the podcast now is what social media was for us with the blogs and stuff. People don't know how to read anymore. They read 4 words, like, they black out or something. But I think it's really important that when you start doing this stuff, that you continue to go into classes, you continue to learn for yourself, you take advantage of the opportunity is a way for you to learn more. That's still to this day, the biggest thing I get about being picked up for a conference is I get to go to the conference for free. That's it. And as somebody that worked somewhere where I had to take vacation time for a long time to do it, I had to pay my own way to stuff, like, that's invaluable. Unless you work, our guys are spoiled where I work. We send them all over the place. We pay them money. We pay their travel. Like, I didn't have that coming up. So I just think it's important to realize that you have this huge opportunity when you're selected for these things to go be around people that are like you and better than you and have more knowledge than you. So go soak it in, because that can go away tomorrow, and it's just undervalued.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And speaking of classes, you are actually going to be going out and teaching, well, you already are, but coming up, you got the Key City Fire Conference in March.
Yes. Yep.
And you're going to be teaching there. What is it that you're going to be bringing to the table there?
So I'm doing my short-staffed company officer class, which is kind of evolved into more of a short staffing class. And we'll talk about being an officer in it as well, just because I started it and I realized just how widespread it really is. And a lot of the time, the drivers and the firefighters involved are getting the same message, because we're having to do all these extra jobs. And I mean, how often do you see people that, they have 3-man staffing or 2-man staffing? It's just a different ballgame. I mean, I'm still meeting people in these classes from all over the country, and I'm like, okay, raise your hand if you have this many people on your rig. And then, okay. And we get, I don't know, usually 3, 4, 5 hands that are by themselves on these rigs still, whether it's through cross staffing or they're in a combination department or just don't have it. And so the premise of the class is essentially, how do you hit these leadership mandates that we're so hot and heavy on right now with all this professional development we keep throwing down the rabbit hole? And in my experience, and I'm not saying it's everybody's, but in my experience, the officer development is trying to push us away from hands-on skills in our crews to exist over here in the corner is the boss, and you can't be good with your people, and you can't cut up, and you can't have fun, and you shouldn't be doing this, and you shouldn't be touching that. Okay, well, when it's me and one other person on the rig, what would you suggest that I do? So, the whole premise of the class is saying, hey, this is what your fire department's going to ask out of you as a company officer. That's not going away. So how can we meet those benchmarks and demands while still keeping up on our skills, still supporting the one or two other people on the rig with us? How can you lead a crew in a fire when you still got to be the control man, or you got to be the OV, or whatever it might be for you, or you're out there running incident command? We forget that a lot of the time. The first due officer becomes the IC when the battalion or the fire chief is not right behind them. And now you're trusting the brand new firefighter to either go with another crew or with your driver. Like, that's very scary to me as a boss. Yeah. So we hit on that. And the big part of the class is really the importance of preparation. It's really about, setting up your rig, knowing what tools you have and why. Why do you run this hose low versus this one? There's right answers, there's wrong answers, and there's a Minuteman, and I'll leave it at that because that's what I'm passionate about. But then furthermore is, when we train is training with the personnel that you have, and what are some innovative ways to kind of analyze your training and pick it apart a little bit. But also prepping your people for the fact that you might not be right there with them as a company officer. And that's the other side, is that what do we tell the new firefighters? Oh, don't worry, you're going to go to a company and the company officer will be there to hold your hand. And man, this is not ladder 49. Your company officer on the average suburban fire company is at the door asking if you need line, and you are by yourself on your first fire pushing that hallway. And hopefully, like the video I shared on my personal social media today, I don't even know where this is from, but I loved it. It's a company officer. He's got a kid. They got a well-involved fire, and he's saying, hey, you open that nozzle till I tell you to shut it off. And he sends him, and he's pulling hose, and hey, why'd you shut it off? Turn it on, and that's where we live these days for most people.
I love it. So, and then you're doing that at Key City, which is March 18th. And the guest list is fantastic. There's a lot of great instructors, a lot of great presenters. I'm going to be there, so I get to meet you in person, which I'm very excited about. Yes. So we'll hopefully maybe do like a mini podcast as well, interview in person. But you're also going to be at FDIC presenting that as well. Same class, correct?
Yep, same class.
Same class. That's great.
Fortunate third year at FDIC. So wow. For the panel listening, year 4 would be a very nice early Christmas present. I'm that guy, man. Like, I still have it. Like, I live on the edge of my seat. Like, am I going to be back next year? I have trouble enjoying the moment because I enjoy FDIC is just such an experience. And I never experienced it till I taught. I never went. My first year, I went and I can't remember. Yeah, my first year I had surgery to have my foot that year. So I'm on this friggin' scooter. I'm trying to take in the thing, and it's just so big, man. And I remember just being so worn out. I went back to the room early and had like a 12-hour coma or something because I was so wore out.
It's I almost equate it with like Vegas. If you spend a week in Vegas, that's a week too long, right? Like you can't do a week-long trip in Vegas. Yep. And like with FDIC, it is so much to do that it is just the walking alone is going to wear you out. There's a lot of steps that you put in. And then honestly, I think for me was just the mental overload of everything. And it just wears out your mind because you're trying to absorb the information and the sites and talking to all these new people. But it's a great experience. I absolutely love FDIC. And again, same thing. I'm very fortunate that I got invited to go to FDIC. So I'll be seeing you there. If anyone's interested, I'll be at the wellness stage, doing my podcast there in the wellness stage on the 23rd and the 24th. So you can hear me talk about some of the things I talk about on here with a lot of my guests. And honestly, I'm going to hope that I run into you and we'll talk more. I love doing my little mini episodes with people. So that's my plan at Key City Fire Conference is literally just to enjoy the conference, for a lot of people to see it. Like you said, the podcasts, honestly, in the social media world, it's how you use it. And I think there's a great advantage to it for the people who normally don't get to see these things because, we can't everyone afford to go to all these things all the time. Now we have a great opportunity where I can go there and I can show it to them. And I think like for people who are always curious and don't want to spend the money, is it worth it? Well, I'm going to be there to say, hey, it might be worth it. It might not be worth it. But at least you get to see firsthand all these things that people are doing, and that way they can see it right away. And because we live in a world of now, and everyone wants to see
Oh,
it now.
absolutely. And I know the Firefighter Air Coalition was doing scholarships to FDIC this year, and I want to say the last I knew, and it's been a couple months. I think Mike had like 20 that he was giving out. And I don't know if they've all been given out, but that's the other cool thing to me about these platforms is that, we did it when we were still doing our webcast. We sponsored somebody to go to a conference one year. We just all the hosts put in some money, and we said, hey man, I can't do your travel, but I'll cover your registration. I mean, we
That's
weren't that
awesome.
big of a deal. We were our own sponsors, but that's an untapped resource, especially for these guys that get so big with these things that you do get sponsorship, you do have a revenue stream. And again, your time is worth something, right? Your presence is worth something. But if you can pay some of that forward and start the next Mike on his journey because you were able to put him there, I mean, that's gold, man. That's what it's all. That's what it's supposed to be about.
Exactly. And it's that networking. It's giving back and paying it forward. And then hopefully that person comes up to you and says thank you, or like picks your brain, and then you get to do it in person. And like literally last year, FDIC, I got to hang out with Corley for a brief moment at the airport where he's waiting for his plane. And literally what we talked about before, the night before and stuff, like everyone's bothering people. And I didn't want to bother him because it was at the airport. It's early in the morning. He's
You
with
can't
Amanda.
bother Corley. He is
You
a
can't-
freak of nature. He
Right?
is like made for what he does.
He is. And but I still felt like bad. Like, so I just like, I didn't want to ignore him, but I'm making like I don't see him because I don't want to bother him and I'm going to fanboy out. And, but he actually approached us. He's like, hey, Mike. I'm like, this dude knows my name. So
I've made it.
hooray. And we started talking, and the other guys I was with, they're talking with Amanda, and I got to have a sit down with Corley, and we just talked about podcasting stuff, and it was fantastic. And he really he took the time to show me how he graphs things out on his phone. This is what works. He's telling me all the inside stuff that helps his platform grow. It wasn't competition. It wasn't anything. He's like, I see you. I see you're doing well. I see you're remaining consistent. Keep going with that. You're doing fantastic. And for someone like that to say that to me, it was something so life-changing for me and once in a lifetime kind of thing. And it was that experience I got at FDIC, and it was the least expected moment. And when you talked about like, yes, we want to be paid for our time, I always had felt guilty about that. And I said it to Corley. I said, I know I didn't set this up to make money, but it would be nice at times. And he said flat out, I'm going to be honest with you. I need to make some money. I used to lay tile part-time is what he told me. And I had to break my back and break my knees for $2,000 to lay tile for 16 hours. Or I could go teach and enjoy what I love. And for people to get that positive message, for them to go back to their departments and have new information. And that really struck me. And that's what made sense for me. It was like, he's not in it for the money, but yes, he wants to be compensated for his time because he doesn't want to lay tile anymore, because it's backbreaking work. So it's not in it that we're trying to abuse or absorb the funds of people, but we're trying to bring something back. But yeah, we like you said, a lot of time building really good presentations. It's a lot of time setting up those hot classes with all the props and the tools and people that you have working for you. So my hat's off to all those hot instructors and presenters out there doing your job. And a lot of time they're not getting paid a whole lot for it because they do it because they love the job. And they love giving back. And I love what you're doing because, again, when I heard you on Weekly Scrap, I felt compelled to reach out to you and just tell you thank you. And that's what always, it's amazing me because like the technology that we're in, the world that we're in, where I can hear you speak so passionately about what you love. And it resonated so much with me that I had to tell you thank you. You didn't know who the hell I was, but I had to say thank you because it made a difference when I was driving and hearing that. I'm like, man, holy shit, he gets me. He doesn't know who I am.
But I appreciate that so much more because that's literally how me and Jared Sergi got hooked up, was that I was reading his blog and I was that guy. I blind shot him a Facebook message and said, hey man, I know this is kind of weird, but I follow your stuff all the time. It's really resonating. It's really helping me get through some dark places in my life and my career. And I just want to thank you. And he didn't just blow me off. He responded, oh yeah, man, like that's really cool. Where do you work? And all of a sudden I have this new friend who's basically my brother. We're the same person in many ways. And all because I fired off that message. And again, you're not going to get along with everybody, right?
Yeah.
But it just shows you that that's all it takes sometimes. And a little kindness goes a long way. And just acknowledging people goes a long way. And you never know who the next person's going to be. I mean, it's funny, like you said, Corley's telling you how to grow your podcast. And I look at it this way. I'm not in competition with anybody. Like I'm in competition with the job. That's all I'm trying to do. And somebody like Corley, like it's kind of like when people internally in your organization, they don't want to train somebody because, oh, they're going to promote past me or take my job. Like that's a you thing, man. Like
Yeah.
people can listen to your podcast and the scrap and they can coexist. It's not like somebody's gonna be like, oh man, we're out of here. We're going to the can report. Screw the scrap. Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And
I don't get it.
But we're all competitive personalities. I think the fire service, we're competitive. And you actually, I think you had made another post about that, about the competition and challenges.
So we're on the same team, man. Like
same team. And I love that. And that's why I not to blow smoke up your ass, but you're listening to the floor. You have your ear to the floor. And that's what I get from that. And that's, I could tell you care because of what you write and how you say it, because it's not coming from a chief level. It's honestly coming from the floor level. And that's what I get from your writing. And I appreciate it immensely. And I appreciate you agreeing to be on this platform. And it helps a lot. And I hope that more people can understand the rhyme and reasons between people's writings and what they get influenced by. And that's honestly why I started writing, is because I just felt so heavily influenced about what I see in the world. And like you said, like there's people out there who don't like each other, and that's fine. And like you said, like just be nice to each other. And the fact that you were nice enough to respond back to me and didn't make, you didn't act like you didn't have time for me. You just took one nice reply back. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And we had like a 3-minute conversation back to back, and it ended, and it was great. But I was talking to somebody, just quick tangent. I was talking to somebody about like the social media and what we do as firefighters, where, we're an instructor and we're teaching classes, but then all of a sudden we turn around and be shits to each other. Like we want to be nice when we're getting paid, but then when we turn around and get on our social media platforms, and all of a sudden we're shitty to each other. Like you said, we're so quick to dislike somebody or what their methods are, their teachings are, but then we're going to turn around and be, we might try to be nice when we're getting paid, but then we turn around and we're dicks again. So it's important for people to understand, like, if you're in those positions, you should be cognizant of your actions and your attitude and what you're saying to people on these social platforms, or what you're saying, like your comments. Or if you don't like something on social media and you make a shitty comment, and you're somebody who's traveling around, has a lot of influence, you've just influenced that whole thread. So they might have liked it, right?
I don't comment at all anymore. I learned, it's funny, if you go back and read my writing, like from the beginning, and again, I was in a different place. I mean, I've been doing this almost 10 years now. I think it's 10 years this year, which is wild to me. I was a lieutenant when I started. I'm a battalion chief now. My scope, or whatever you want to call it, has changed so much. The message is the same, right? But the perspective is different. But I had a realization probably about halfway through this. What you just said hit me, is that like I do have some influence now, and I can't just run off at the mouth. There's a time and a place for it, but my writing changed, and it's funny because the less, I don't want to say rogue, but the less abrasive I became, the more centered I became, the more, trying to bring everybody to the middle I became. I got a lot less likes and shares on the post, but I got way more opportunities to do things in real life. So it's like the right people are reading it and responding to it because it makes sense. But if you're just, anybody can write something crazy and get a rise out of people, and it'll go viral like that. It doesn't mean it's good. It just means, like, the more brash you are, the more you try to piss people off, the more closed-minded you are, the more that post is going to fly. And unfortunately, it doesn't help anybody. I would much rather have something that somebody doesn't want to share, probably because they're scared, right? Because like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm an idiot. Yeah. But it's resonating, it's talking, they're spreading it. So that's one thing I have noticed in my writing. I also don't write as frequently anymore because I had to realize that, like, one, I have other responsibilities now that have to take priority, but two, I've learned to digest things a little bit. Early on, if I was wronged in the moment or I felt something in the moment, I just started typing. I mean, there was a point, man, I went every single day for like a year and a half or something crazy. I wrote, my wife finally had been like, look, this is crazy. You're not getting paid for this, and it's dominating your day. But what I realized is that now I just kind of write things down on a sticky note or on my phone, and then I kind of revisit them in a few months. And if it's still poking at me, like, yeah, run with this, then I write about it. And if it doesn't, it's just, you were being a child in the moment. You got really pissed off. You wrote something on your phone instead of the internet. And now maybe one day your career will still move forward because you didn't write that now, because you can get away with that when you're a firefighter. But when you start entering these upper ranks where you're responsible for people, people don't look past that stuff. And trust me, I have been called in plenty of times to ask about, why did you write this? What is it directed at? You know, not just by chiefs, but like by other officers, by other firefighters. And, you know, there's definitely a weight with your influence at some point. And like you said, when your platform gets bigger, you want to get on one of these things with a fire gone bad that somebody had the balls to put on the internet, and you want to start raking them over the calls. Man, call them up and talk to them about it. Don't write it on the internet.
Yeah, it just really does, because like you said, you get that more of that clout and that more of that influence, and you can control, like I said, you can control that whole thread. It can either be people just shitting all over that one person, or maybe they actually all thought it was good. And if you didn't like it, and if you say Mark Aloan, that's a shit fire, they did a shit job, all of a sudden you just change that whole narrative.
Yep,
and everyone's gonna be like, you're right, that was crappy, you suck. And it's just gonna keep going down that horrible spiral. And that's not just the place to do it. Like you said, reach out to them, like, hey, I'm confused by that fire. Why would you do this? Why would you do that? You could have a personal conversation instead of having everybody chime in with their own opinions. And then, like, there's so much ugliness in this world, and I keep seeing it now more on social media more often than not. And it's so unfortunate, and it's coming from people that shouldn't. They have the ability to control that narrative. And if we're going to wear our badge, or we're going to wear our uniform, or if we're going to go around teaching all over the place and call ourselves, you know, good people, and we care about the Brotherhood, well, we should be doing it all the time then, not just when it's convenient. So that's my little soapbox. And it's, the Brotherhood's not dead either. It's very alive and well. And I absolutely love it. I've been seeing it come back. But I still think we just need those gentle reminders that we need to still treat each other with respect, and, you know, exude passion and integrity and support for one another. And I was texting somebody, and it hit me. I'm like, integrity over algorithms, right? Like,
right? It's all an algorithm.
It's all an algorithm. Like, have integrity. Like, you don't have to constantly be posting just to have your algorithms click up. Like you said, like, I took a break because I didn't need to do this all the time. I got other things I got to worry about. Yep. But that was my soapbox.
I'll throw this challenge then, right? The next time you want to comment on somebody's bad fire, you got to post a video of your last fire first. Because one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to realize you're not squared away, or you're going to realize that your organization doesn't allow you to. So they're already ahead of you because they put their stuff on the internet. So the next time you want to, and again, trust me, there are some rough fire videos on the internet. I can't get to a place where I would watch that video on my own. And again, most of my journey started because of a helmet cam, because I realized I was not as good as I thought. But I can't see how somebody watches this fire and then posts it on the internet and tries to defend it. Like, I really can't. But again, if I'm going to talk trash, then I should have to post a video of my last fire to show you how much better I am than you are, because I guarantee you it's not much better.
Right? People in glass houses, right?
Always, man. Always.
Well, I appreciate you so much, Chief. This was a great conversation. I mentioned Key City and I mentioned FDIC. Is there anywhere else you're going to be?
I'm doing a bunch of stuff with the Rust Belt Jakes. That's the hands-on cadre that I teach with. So we're going to March Mayhem out in Boise here in a couple weeks.
I'll be there too.
Oh my dude, you just became my +1 for the year. That's all there is to it. So we just become best friends.
Yes, we did.
So we'll be there. We've got a whole bunch of stuff lined up. If you just say Nick Peppard is the ringleader of that, I just kind of show up, and then they accuse me of being the chief in the room, and nobody wants to talk to me. And even though I bring my black helmet, I still get outcast. But Rust Belt Jakes is on social media, Facebook, Instagram. You go follow that. We do a lot of classes, but one of the biggest ones we do is left seat tactics and tips, which is driver focus, which is kind of a weird niche that a lot of people ignore. So we focus on being a working driver, maximizing water supply, being active outside the building. It's a really cool class. There's not a lot of stuff out there like it. So if you're a driver and you're interested, track us down. We'll be in Michigan later in the year. Great Lakes hot. So we've got a lot of stuff for that. I didn't honestly this year, I didn't put in for too terribly much on my own, just because I'm trying to balance work life and being present at the firehouse. So I'm doing a lot more with the hands-on stuff, really focusing more on, I think, a lot of the bigger conferences. And I think at some point too, man, like, there's other people coming up the ropes, right? Like, let them have an opportunity. Somebody gave me an opportunity. I can't be at every conference. At some point, you've seen my class, right? And except for FDIC. That should continue for as long as possible.
At least for a 4th year.
Yeah, right. We're good. Here's for 4 more years. But no, I mean, I'll be around. And again, if you just get on social media and follow the Fire Inside, I post stuff more there. I've kind of let my website go vacant at this point. It's there, but I haven't done much with it. So one day I'll get back to selling stickers and t-shirts and things that take up my time. But
I love it.
no, man,
that's great.
It's been fun, man. I enjoy the podcast like this, where it's not like this laundry list of we're going to dig into it, get you to say something you're going to regret. It's just a conversation. This is the fire service to a T, man. It's just a bunch of firefighters talking shop. That's what it's built on. That's what it always be.
That's all I want. I just want to talk to good people and get a good story and just talk about like literally at the kitchen table or the bumper. That's all I love, man. I love knowing people. I love talking about it because you got your classes and everything else is all available online. So really, like people don't never get to really know the person, especially like you said, like FDIC is so busy. It's hard to really pull you aside and as a student say, hey, can I talk to you for 30 minutes? Like you're gonna be like, no, I gotta go. I'm sorry, but I really gotta go. Like it's very difficult. So I want people to know who you are, and I really appreciate you being open and honest with a lot of what you have to say, man. It really resonates for me, and I'm sure it resonates for a lot of other people. And honestly, I'm really looking forward to your class at March Mayhem. You're right; it is a class that we don't have a lot of. And I'm a driver in my department, and I'm looking forward to actually checking that out. And I'll be there annoying you guys with asking a bunch of questions and shoving my camera in your face, trying to get more information for everybody else. So I'm looking forward to that. So March Mayhem, Boise, Idaho. Make sure you're checking them out. It's going to be a great class if you're going. If not, I'll be there with Preston Lyons. We're going to be roaming the whole, another fantastic guy. We're going to be roaming the whole drill yard, doing live feeds, talking to the instructors, talking to the students. Same thing at Key City Fire Conference. I'll be there shoving the mic and phone into Mark's face, seeing what reaction I can get out of him. Not really, but just to get to know Mark a little bit more. But I appreciate you so much. So there is. If you guys have any information, you can reach out to Mark. He does respond on Facebook, so just reach out to him. And if there's any questions, please reach out to him as well. Check out the Fire Inside, and make sure you check out one of his classes if you're going this year. So with that being said, I appreciate you all. Be safe, be well, and I want you to say it with me, Mark. Nozzle top.
Nozzle top.
There you go.